Hello, everybody. My name is Anne. I'm a compulsive overeater and bulimic high. Let's see. I weigh and measure 3 meals a day from the gray sheet. My food is committed to my sponsor. I don't eat between meals no matter what, no matter who, no matter where, no matter when, no matter anything. And abstinence really is the most important thing in my life without exception. And I'm assuming you hear me there. My abstinence date is October the 21st of 2000, which means I'm creeping up near 20 years soon, which is a miracle because if any of you knew me or saw me, you would know what a miracle it is. You might have seen me hanging over the edge of a dumpster with a coat hanger, trying to snag a bag of food that I'd thrown out in disgust and went back for, almost tipping into a dumpster. You might have seen me pulling up in the dark to a public park to their trash cans to put my trash in. So I wouldn't put it in my trash because I was going to go on and that was like after the dumpster. Well, the dumpster didn't work, right? So now I had to drive the stuff somewhere that I wouldn't go back for. You might have seen me in a public bathroom somewhere. If you walked in and saw, especially in America, when I left Ireland and I came here and the bathroom stalls had doors that stopped at your ankles. That just seemed cruel to a bulimic because now you're advertising that your feet face the wrong way in a bathroom. So you might have seen my feet facing the wrong way somewhere. You could have anonymously just seen me somewhere in the world doing my thing. There's many other ways you might have recognized me. A full cart of binge food in the grocery store, pretending I'm a teacher or something, buying bulk and sharing it. Yeah, I never shared a binge in my life. So that's where I come from. I guess one line out of the big book is what I'd love to share with you first. In Working with Others, it says on page 98, burn the idea into the consciousness of every man, and we'll add in, and woman, that he or she can get well regardless of anyone. And I desperately want anyone who's struggling, new, or feels that this isn't for them to know that this says that every man can recover. Because I needed to hear that when I got here, because I felt like one of the sicker than others. And I was having experiences of being sicker than others. So I've described some of them, right? That was an important piece. What people said to me when I came in desperate and pathetic and hopeless, they said, the way you feel right now, having binged the night before, they said, you never, ever have to feel that way again. And that was a really lofty promise, I mean, I did feel that way again because that shining statement, that wasn't the thing that kept me abstinent, but it's the thing that kept me coming back when I had eaten again. And then there came a day where I didn't have to feel that way again. The last time I felt that way would be, what would that be? Probably October the 21st, 2000, the first day of my abstinence, because I felt like shit because, I binged up to the latest the night before. So that was the first day of the detoxing. And I haven't had to feel that way since. And that is totally miraculous because I couldn't stop. So I wanted to start with that line. But then if you go into the doctor's opinion, I have 3 little bits that I think are important. In the doctor's opinion, he's talking in here and he said, all of us, all these people, I won't say us, me, all these, many others, one symptom in common. They can't start drinking, it says, we mean eating, without developing the phenomenon of craving. This phenomenon, as we have suggested, may be the manifestation of an allergy, which differentiates these people and sets them apart as a distinct entity. It has never been, by any treatment with which we are familiar, permanently eradicated. The only relief we have to suggest is entire abstinence. So they actually talk about abstinence in the big book. And what does that mean for us? I mean, I guess the phenomenon of craving, as well as not having to feel that way again, because what I felt that first day detox was the craving. The phenomenon of craving goes away. I promise any GreySheeter who's early on and has it, that it goes away. And I just had to humbly admit that I wasn't in charge of deciding which day was my day one. My job was to weigh and measure the next meal. And then there's a last little bit in A Vision for You. And it's talking about when we eat again, it says, comes oblivion and the awful awakening to face the hideous 4 horsemen: terror, bewilderment, frustration, and despair. So they're kind of, morbid kind of pieces, but they describe my experience. They describe where I was at when I got here, which was the blessing. The blessing was that I I didn't think I had any other way out. I was on the edge of going into treatment. And to just back up, I got here in the year 2000. I got to Overeaters Anonymous in the year 1995 in Los Angeles, where I was living. I'd been a compulsive overeater from the beginning, from the get-go. Born and raised in Ireland and spent most of my life there all the way through college. And then I went to the Middle East for 4 years. I've lived in different countries around the world, and I've binged and eaten in all of them. The geographic never fixed any of it. It was with me the whole time. I was almost 11 pounds when I was born. I didn't have an obese childhood, but I was what they call well padded back home. They used to say beef to the heels like the Mullingar heifers. And that does not bring joy to your heart when people describe you that way when they meet you. The heifers are the cows, and Mullingar is a place in Ireland. Beef to the heels like the Mullingar heifers. So I was a biggish kid. I was padded. I didn't tip the scales into obese, but from the get-go, sugar soothed me. And it started off, I realize now it was my coper, and it was the thing that kept me going till it was the thing that made me want to end everything. It was a progressive disease. It was always the thing I turned to, and I certainly felt the whole of my soul from early on, felt the whole of my soul. I was lovingly cared for in my family. There was not traumatic, terrible treatment. I had a loss. My father died when I was 3. I don't remember him. I had a loss. Other people have trauma. Other people have nothing and have fabulous parents. And that teaches me that, like, these are all our stories that shape how we respond in situations. But it's none of this made me a compulsive overeater. I have the allergy they talk about. I believe that there's certain substances that I have an allergic reaction to. And that's, sugar, grains, starches. They say when you have an allergy, it's a consistent, predictable response to the ingestion or the injection or whatever of the substance. And so by the time I got here to GreySheet, there was this predictable, exactly the same thing happened over and over to me when I would put these substances in me. So I was really glad that GreySheet really got clear with me. It's the first 12-step program that told me you have an allergy and you can't have these things or this is always going to happen. And so I was really eager and malleable and teachable when I got here. And that's another blessing. So what happened in the meantime is I ate more and more in my childhood, in my teens, in my college years. I found my peeps that I ate and drank with. I met a man that we met drunk. We ate well together, and we had like a marriage that didn't last. No surprise. And there was always some kind of substance behavior or something to anesthetize us from really being present. But you don't know you're not present till you're present, right? You don't know till you're clear. And you go, my God, I was like drunk all the time, drunk on food, drunk on alcohol. So what happened was I met this man from New Zealand in Saudi Arabia. We married. We moved to the US. We split up. And when I went to a therapist to talk about the terrible things he had done to me, I thought I was going to discuss him. She started talking about me, and she sentenced me to go to an OA meeting before I came back to her the next week. And that was probably the beginning of me shining a light a little bit on the inside. Like it was another gift. There's another angel in my life. So I did that, and that really did start me on my 12-step experience. But until I suppose I spent 4 years or so in GreySheet having abstinence from vomiting. That's all I could manage. I wanted to claim something, so I called it no vomiting no matter what. That's what I took my chips based on. But that means you could eat whatever. I mean, I could be restricting, I could be binging, I could be eating the stuff and in ferocious craving, or I could be being good and eating like fruits and vegetables and like, managing and controlling. So the dam burst eventually, and all my resolve to not be vomiting no matter what kind of things I ate, of course I had to. because the vanity got me. And when that happened, I thought I was going to just taste my favorite things. But what happened was it was a 20-month can't stop, 20-month binge. So that's the, thank you. That's the delusion, is that I thought in those moments I was going to taste a few things for a week, and it was 20 months. So that delivered me very ready to Grey Sheet. I want to spin forward. Got to Grey Sheet, couldn't stop, still couldn't stop. And we don't shoot our wounded. So I would just tell someone the next 3 meals. I was told, tell me your next 3 meals. The people who wanted to fire me because I ate again, maybe I didn't call them for my 3 meals. I called people who understood that I couldn't stop. And I kept doing it. And one day I did not have to pick up again. And that's what I had. That's what's on offer. And the days added up, and it's been 19 years and 11 months. So I know it works. The big book tells me it works for everyone. Let's see. I fast forward at a couple of years of abstinence, met a man. We have 2 children together now. We've been together 18 years. We have a 16-year-old, a 13-year-old, and 3 years ago we quit calling each other girl and boyfriend and went and ran away to Vegas and got married. And so now we've turned into fuddy-duddy married couple, kids, dog, cat, It doesn't matter what the outside looks like, whether I'm in a little apartment or a big house. It's the peace on the inside that is the value for me. And that's what Grey Sheet gives me. Grey Sheet gives me dignity and self-respect, that what I do with the food when you're not around is exactly what I do when you're around. I don't sneak, I don't hide. If I'm not sure, I make a call. I was just trained. I just called my sponsor about 15 minutes ago, and I'm like, there's this big friggin' email out now about abstinence from the Grey Sheet, whatever. Here, I'm going to forward to you, read it, and tell me if anything changes. And it's kind of like, whatever she tells me is fine. Because a sponsee, I had to break the news to a sponsee maybe a week ago that a certain thing she was having is not actually okay. And she came to work with me after 9 years. So she, it wasn't in the initial discussion. And her response was what I value. She said, okay, no matter what, it is what it is. I'm not saying that I get a gold medal for being in that state of acceptance all the time. It's grace that I feel like whatever she tells me back about this list is whatever. That's it. If you call me and you say, oh my God, the food fell on the floor, I might say, let it go if the dog ate it. If it's not eaten by the dog, go get it. But if the dog didn't eat it, I might say, let it go, move on. Now, you might call the next person on this screen and they say, assume this amount, go away and measure and have it. They're 2 entirely different answers. They're both Grey Sheet abstinence. It's the surrender of my will to somebody else is going to tell me what to do. I am not going to make a self-willed food decision. And it's kind of like this. Some people might wonder, like, why? Why do you go to that extreme? Because I don't want to ever feel the way I felt before. No matter what unresolved, I have plenty of unresolved problems. I have plenty of shit going on that's like, God, I am kind of childish over here and I'm not a grown up with this and I should do this better or whatever. But damn, my food is pristine. And that gives me this baseline to walk through life and keep growing. And I'm just grateful for that. It's not a judgment against anybody who can't get their food in order. I just know what it was like. And I know what it's like now. And I do not want to let go of this at all. So I'm going to do it all. There's a long list of stuff. And if someone works with me, I do ask them the whole list. If someone's coming in, I don't ask them to do anything I didn't do. It's, if you have to eat again, my first question for someone, if they keep eating, of course, are you doing everything like are you absolutely on your knees, calling 3 people, calling on time, writing it down, following the Grey Sheet, going on a meeting every day, 1 minimum? Like, there is a long list. I did it all. If you're doing that and you still have to eat again, God bless you. Just tell me what you're having for your next 3, because it will get you. It will grab you one day, because weighing and measuring your 3 meals, despite all those things that you've done not working, it's kind of like you're going, God, I am out of options. I never used to say, God, let me abstain. At the end, I said, God, abstain me. God, surrender me. Because people would say, just surrender. And I wanted to kick them in the teeth, because I was doing everything I knew about how to surrender. But something more saying, surrender me because I don't know what to do, is a powerful place of humility that I was told that it opens a window for God to enter the scene. God can come on the playing field. So that's a little crack in my ego to say, I see time. Thank you, Emma. And so if you are struggling, call someone and commit the next 3 and weigh and measure the next meal, and don't go away and go to the next meeting, no matter what.